Alright, so we're heading to the forest people to see what's wrong up there. Oh yes, let's take this for a ride. Oh shit, we didn't like that. Probably should have just remounted him there.
Get out of my way! I have to save Yona!
Calm down. You cannot prevail if you are blinded with rage.
Little unprovoked as well.
It sure is quiet here.
Such silence bodes ill. There's trouble on the way. I'm certain of it.
You know, a little optimism now and then wouldn't hurt, Vice.
Such cheek.
Beware. Beware the words.
The words? What do you mean?
Contagious words.
You're gonna have to speak a little faster here, please, Mayor.
Those who dream.
Those who dream?
Hold a moment. There is a strange new sensation in my mind. It is not quizzical.
What's going on?
The villager's body shuddered as he slowly opened his eyes.
Perhaps we should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
The mayor stared at Wozzer and Wise.
If you can speak to me. I must have caught you in my dream.
In your dream?
The mayor explained. In the past weeks, a mysterious disease called the Deathdream had spread across the forest of myth. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor determined the Deathdream was spread from person to person by spoken words, but before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Vice stared at the mayor, his mouth twitching slightly.
See here. Are you saying that we have been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes. I think you have.
In other words, we've caught the Deathdream?
Before the mayor could confirm Wozzer's suspicion, Vice exploded with rage.
Ridiculous. Preposterous. Completely unfathomable on every conceivable level. I don't even recall falling asleep.
That's just how the Deathdream works.
Though polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's remarks.
My remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth into an embarrassed grimace, then quickly changed the subject to who Wozzer had seen and what they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must have caused you to enter my dream. A certain conversation, a specific word, something.
Wozzer and Vice racked their brains, but could find no easy solutions. There were simply too many words to consider. Too much random chatter. Too many meaningless conversations.
Grimoire Weiss does not engage in meaningless conversations.
The mere suggestion that Vice chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride.
It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator.
Yeah, that's a bit mean.
It has demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Vice looked skyward, as if searching for answers in the heavens.
I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
The anger created by his harsh words bled over to Wozzer, like a cognation. Wait, said Wozzer suddenly. Did someone just say cognitation? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, that villager told us to watch out for those words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing a startled Vice aside in the process. You must have said something, right? Asked the mayor. Some specific combination of words. What was it? It was about dreaming, or something that dreams, or... Oh, what the hell was it? A sheep, cried Vice suddenly, blurting out the first thing that popped into his head. The others stared at him for a moment before slowly shaking their heads. After a few more minutes of thought, Wozzer's face suddenly lit up. I remember, he said. Those who dream, that's what he said. I'm sure of it. At this, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pocket. He flipped through them a few times before finally nodding his approval at Wozzer. That sounds right, he said, as a stray sheet of paper fluttered to the ground. My notes also mention something about that. I bet it was the last thing you heard before you fell asleep. The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across a lone piece of paper. For the last month, I've done nothing but study the disease we call the Deathdream, he said. I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect people from whatever comes along. But I never expected a couple of outsiders to start entering people's dreams. The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. I should probably be taking notes or something. Vice immediately fired back. I applaud the force of will it takes to research a disease in your dreams, he said. But perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it. The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. I've tried to escape. From the very first moment I realized I was locked inside my own dream, I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I'd know about it. He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. My village was beautiful, he said, to no one in particular, and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once this disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all the colour out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens. Wozzer nodded in agreement. Huh? Wait a second? I didn't nod. Look, if we can be of any help, said Wozzer, just ask. Now hold on, I did not just say that. Silence, cried Vice. The Grimoire looked from Wozzer to the mayor and back again, his face filling with confidence. Grimoire Vice's face is always confident, thank you very much. Now see here, Mayor, you told us that nothing can exist in this dream without your knowing of it, but yet you seem surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes? The mayor slowly raised his head, realization dawning on his face. Oh my god, he said. You're right. You're right. I had no idea you were coming. The human imagination is the limitless engine, said Vice, and dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. With your permission, we shall search it out. Thank you, said the mayor. I don't know how I can repay you. Payment is not required. We are as eager as you to be done with this place. The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. Good luck, you two, he called at the departing forms of Wozzer and Vice. We're all counting on you. As Wozzer slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck by a sense of deja vu. I saw this man once before, he thought, but where? Wozzer's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around them. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction. A moss-covered rock seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Vice was proving to be a spectacularly poor travelling companion. Unhindered by either terrain or physical effort, spent most of his time urging Wozzer to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Finally, after Vice muttered something about the legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, Wozzer snapped. Okay, Vice, cram it for a section, wouldn't you? You don't have to walk. Wozzer leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. How can the stupid forest be so big? He muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared as a volume that rattled his teeth. Wozzer slapped his hand over his ears and screamed to be heard. Vice, what's going on? Wozzer could see Vice's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insect screamed, the forest howled, and then, just as Wozzer's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Zree-ree-ree-ree. Shrek, shrek, shrek. Chick, 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 chick. Woo, woo. All right, we get it. As the insect's cacophony dimmed another decibel, Wozzer began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise, it's something else. The insects weren't just calling out, they were asking a question. 1 with it is lacking, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with it is lacking, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous. What is it? Oh boy. The answer is 1, 2 is ideal, 3 is dangerous. 1 is lacking. Secret. The answer's got to be a secret. Inwardly furious that Vice left the task to him, Wozzer sighed and gave the only answer that made sense. It's a secret. Right? The sound of the insect stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted before Wozzer like a rippling wave, opening a new path. These forest arthropods are making a road for us, said Vice with glee. Oh. Okay. I didn't press any buttons and that all skipped on its own. I enter through the window but break no glass. When night falls I vanish. What am I? Absurdly easy, barked Vice. Now answer it. Wozzer grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all. This one is pretty easy. I enter through the window but break no glass. When night falls I vanish. What am I? Something like. The plume of Wozzer suddenly burst from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Vice softly, I have never seen such a sight. Perhaps I've misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey look, cried Wozzer, awakening Vice from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Vice saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Vice? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? Wozzer walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began Wozzer. But before he could get any further, the cloaked man held a hand up and began speaking. Alright, we got more riddles. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? Wozzer tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing here, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Vice, it seems we must answer his riddle. Yeah, I suppose, said Wozzer. Well, at least it's an easy one. 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon, and at the end of the night with 3. What am I? I don't know this one. Let's go with... Can't be man, right? Unless it's something I'm completely missing. So it's gonna have to be... Demon? As soon as the words were spoken, the forest began to swirl around them. That's not a good sign. Leaves browned and fell from trees. Branches withered and died. The tall grass shriveled back into dark coils of ash. Suddenly, a massive demon appeared before Wozzer and unleashed a tremendous roar. Wrong, now try again. Alright, I'm going to go through Angel now and it's going to be man, right? Wozzer found himself covered in the snow of perfect white feathers. A warm, gentle feeling ran up his spine as a creature of unimaginable beauty shimmered into existence. Wozzer found himself unable to hold back tears as the being's voice rang out. You are incorrect. Alright, it's man. A man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke a single word. Wrecked. With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor, cried Wozzer. The small man slowly shook his head. I am not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago I saw a version of you that was not yourself. Sorry, what does that mean? It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the Deathdream. Now you must go to the person at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. As Wozzer watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When Wozzer and Vice returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried. You made it. You actually made it back. His left hand grasped Wozzer's and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right seized Vice by the cover and swung him through the air. Gah, by the heavens, stop shaking me, fool. We have not even told you if we were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Wozzer withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the Deathdream's seal, he said. At least, I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as Wozzer filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the 3 of them lay down on the forest ground and fell asleep. Wozzer cocked his head. Okay, hang on a second. This is crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. Wozzer and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten? Continued Vice. It is words that control the Deathdream. Words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breath slowing. This is the first time, began the mayor, first time I have felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour or a year. When they awoke, things had slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener. It was clear that they had awakened from their dream. Wozzer shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. I think we made it. Oh wow, said the mayor in an awed voice. We did. I'm back. He blinked once, and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The Deathdream was spreading throughout a village, and I wanted to, well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it. But I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand, then collapsed back to earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at Wozzer and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to, said the mayor, as a wry smile crossed his lips. You shall relearn in short order, I am sure, said Vice. For now you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. No, I can't. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the Deathdream. I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village and bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained when the prayer was finished. It's the guardian of our village's history and memories. Superstition will only make our mission harder, muttered Vice. We should not put our faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. Legend says that our tree is home to a powerful magic known as a sealed verse. Wozzer and Vice could not contain their surprise. It seemed a goal had been found in the most unexpected of places. I say, muttered Vice, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the three of them said their goodbyes, Wozzer mentioned the strange man who had given them the third riddle and the mysterious words he had left with them. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world does that mean? Lost in thought, he stared into space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, this is going to sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before too. Wozzer tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the Deathdream. It probably doesn't mean anything. Wozzer gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. And what exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I can finally return to a normal life.
This is one of the most bizarre diseases I have ever encountered.
I know. That's why we have to help the other villagers, no matter what.
Well, that was different.
Verse, that didn't take much effort.
No, it did. It really did.
Yes, all a touch too easy if you ask me.
Oh, does that mean we got a boss coming up or something?
It's almost as if someone was guiding us to this village.
Don't overthink advice.
Well, that was a lot of reading. But we made it through.
This person must be dreaming too.
It would appear that way, yes.
No, definitely not. Once is quite enough.
And another victim.
I mean, we got our sealed verse. I'm treating those two as side quests that we can come back to at a later date as needed. But in the meantime, it looks like we've got to go back to town. Let's give it a save.
It would appear that way, yes.
No, definitely not. Once is quite enough.